Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you. I am Apostle Benjamin Gaines, and I am the pastor of Yahweh's Transitional Church. I want to welcome you all to be with us on today. So grateful that we have the opportunity to be in the presence of the Most High once again. And I definitely want to give this message about being the bigger man. Being the bigger man. Last time we did teach about the kingdom of the Shemayim. Kingdom of Shemayim, we know that once again, as I elaborated last week, that there are three heavens: the foul heaven, starry heaven, and heaven of heaven. So the question that was asked was, is heaven a gift or a reward? And I would advise you to go look at the last message and find the last conclusion. This week, I want to get back. Prior to that week, we were finding Dawid's, or as you may know him, David's escape from Saul, and kept him on the run. He kept him on the run, and so David encountered Saul and escaped, on several occasions. But the Most High was always with him. But now David confronts him one last time, and it is an easy thing to run, but not everyone that runs gets away. And especially when you're escaping someone who is supposed to be a demise, that means that was part of the divine plan, just as the Pharaoh was part of the divine plan of Elohim. So before we go into it, I'm just going to begin with a word of prayer. Father, we thank you for blessing us to be here on today. We thank you for your loving kindness. We thank you for your grace and your mercies and your peace, Father, above all things. We give you thanks for this word. We give you thanks for opening our hearts and our minds and our spirits, Father. And we just want to say we love you and we praise you in all things. As your word says, in everything, give thanks. So we just want to say to all of you that are here, grace, mercy, and peace be unto you, Sister Minister, that if you want to be a part of the unadulterated word of the Most High, and if you want to break bread with your brothers and sisters in ministry, please join us here. We'll be here on Sundays at 5 p.m. and definitely want to bring the word of the Lord with you and to you. Hallelujah. Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure. As I was saying, the last time that we were here together, we were talking about how David was always on the run from Saul and escaped him on many occasions. But Saul was supposed to be, as his name Shaul means as, demanded. The Lord said that he was going to be the demise to Israel, and David is an Israelite. So David had to be a part of that demise, even if he played the most significant part of the demise that he was. I'm going to read from 1 Samuel 26, and it says, the Ziphites went to Saul at Gibeah and said, is not David hiding in the hills of Hachilah, which faces Jeshimon? And the Ziphites were the descendants of Judah, just like David was. And they were supposed to be his brothers, but he referred to them as strangers or foreigners because they betrayed him twice already. I'm going to show you where they did it before. And they were King Saul's spies for David, trying to alert Saul every time that David had gotten on the scene and took refuge in their land. So it just goes to show you that people that are supposed to be on your side most of the time are part of the scheme to come against you, and you don't even understand why they would be that way if they're supposed to be part of your people. Actually, Saul was supposed to be part of David's people as well, but jealousy took over his heart and his mind. And because of that, David stays on the run. And so now the Ziphites, who are supposed to be the people of Judah, who are the people of Judah, and were supposed to be with David, is actually spying on David for Saul. And it says the people of Ziv had betrayed David twice in 1 First Samuel 23. I'm going to read that part. It says, "So it was when David had finished speaking these words," in the 23rd chapter. We're in the 26th chapter now. This is the 23rd. "These words to Saul, that Saul said, 'Is this your voice, son of David?'" Because this is when they spied on David and let David, got a piece of Saul's robe. And so he says to David, "Is this your?" Saul said, "I'm sorry." "So it was when David had finished speaking these words, Saul said, 'Is this your voice, my son David?' And Saul lifted up his eyes and wept." I want you to hear that part. "And Saul lifted up his eyes and wept. Then he said to David, 'You are more righteous than I, for you have rewarded me with good, whereas I have rewarded you with evil. And you had shown this day how you have dealt well with me. And when the Lord delivered me into your hand, you did not kill me. For if a man finds his enemy, will he let him get away safely? Therefore, may the Lord reward you with good for what you have done to me on this day. And now I know indeed that you are surely a king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be in your hands." So now, as we're looking at this, we see that Saul had already made a vow to David that, "May the kingdom of heaven be in your hands." Okay, everything is good with us because you saved my life and everything else like that. But here we are in the 26th verse, and Saul's still after David. So it just shows that he broke his word that he gave the first time. And Saul, for some reason, sees nothing in saying good things to get out of whatever he's in. But David is smarter than that, so David stays on the run. So we're going to go back to verse 2, and it says, "So Saul went down to the desert of Ziph with his 3,000 Israelite troops to search for David. And Saul made his camp beside the road of Hakilah, facing Jeshimon, but David stayed in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul had followed him there, and he sent the scouts out and learned that Saul was definitely arrived to that place. Then David set out and went to the place that Saul had camped, and he saw where Saul and Abner, which means Abner, the son of Ner, the commander of his army, had lain down. And Saul was lying inside the camp with his army encamped around him. And David asked Ahimelech the Hittite and Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, "Who will go down in the camp with me to Saul?" "I will go," said Abishai. So David and Abishai went down into the army that night, and there was Saul laying asleep inside the camp. Near him was his spear stuck in the ground, and near his head was a jug of water laying, and all the soldiers were laying beside him. So, like I said, the last time in 23, David was on the run from Saul, but this time he's seeking out Saul. So things are getting a little different. But if you look at it, it says that David had only had 600 men with him, as opposed to Saul's 3,000 men, which means that David had 2,400 men less than Saul. But with that, David only took himself and Abishai. So that's 2 versus 3,000. That means he has 2,998 men more than David. This just showed you how the Lord can keep you covered no matter how much the amount that comes up against you. When the Lord is covering you, he's going to cover you. Now imagine you already have 2,400 men less than David's whole troop, and you only take one man with you. to go amongst your enemies. David was always one to go to the enemy as opposed to run away from them. Like David left Saul, but he took his stance where he was at. When he planted his feet, he took his stance. And so now David is going to Saul this time. 2,998 men less. Saul has that advantage over David. And Abishai said to David, today, God has delivered your enemy into your hands, because now they're looking down at Saul's head right there in front of him, where the spear is at. And his cup is by his head, and they're standing and they got past his people without making a sound. And so even talking around them while they're sleeping. And Abishai says to David, today, Elohim has delivered your enemy into your hands. Now let me pin him to the ground with one thrust of the spear, and I will not strike him twice. I would not need to hit him twice if you let me just stick this thing through his head. The spear that is by his head, let me do it. But David said to Abishai, don't destroy him. I've been on the run for this man all this time. I've been holding my guard up and I've been trying to escape, and he's been doing all kinds of things to me over and over again, and I've just been showing him this kind of reverence and everything as the king. But now he's right in my company and I don't even have to touch him. I just give permission to my soldier to do it. And this just shows another thing, because David could have easily sent the men down to kill Saul. They had the skills like that. But what he did was decided to go down, because this battle is not between he and them. It is between me and Saul. So David said, I'm going to go down. He just asked, who will want to go with me? But David said to Abishai, do not destroy him. Who can lay a hand on the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? And as surely as the Lord lives, he said, the Lord himself will strike him, or his time will come and he will die, or he will go into battle and perish. But the Lord forbid that I should lay hands on the Lord's anointed. Now get the spear and the water jug that are near his head, and let's go. Now imagine that David is still holding on, because I have to tell you, it's so much more than me not wanting to touch Saul or me trying to be a humble heart, but he knew that the Most High had a plan. And if he would have killed Saul, then it would have deviated from the plan of the Most High. So it wasn't all about Saul. It was about the plan of the Most High. As we had already spoken, David was a man after the Lord's own heart. It didn't mean he did the right thing. It didn't mean he thought the way the Lord would have thought, but he followed what the Lord wanted done. And so he was a man after what the Lord commanded. David, tried to follow it to the best of his abilities. And so if he knew that Saul had a purpose in how the Lord was going to use Saul to even be the demise, he's still anointed by the Most High to be that. And so he keeps calling him the Lord's anointed. Yes, he was anointed. Remember, Samuel anointed him to be the king of Israel. But the Lord said, tell him what this king of Israel that you anoint is going to be like. And he let them know. So definitely, everything anointed doesn't mean it's going to be something good. Some people are anointed to be the worst thing in your lives. But they are assigned and appointed to be just that. And there's nothing we can do about it. And so David has the opportunity to face Saul, who's for years and years. Now, if I may just be very specific, Saul was after David for 10 years. David has been running from Saul 10 years. Imagine everything that he has to go through. Even the last time he went into the land of the Philistines to escape Saul. The Philistines were the enemies that Goliath was from, that David killed. And so what did he do? He went over there and he acted like he was crazy so that they didn't kill him. Let drool go down his beard and everything else like that, escaping for his life, running from one enemy into the camp of another enemy, trying to save his life. And just in the the 25th verse, he just this is his attitude and his character. He was about to kill Nabal because he insulted him. That's the rage that had built up in David, all these things that he's been going through. He's been taken away from his wife. He had to jump out the window. He's running for his life. I'm trying to keep peace by playing the harp for me. I'm trying to serve and do what I'm called to do, and you're trying to kill me. And now you have your people killing after me. You have my people from Judah after me. You have my brothers that are in your camp turn against me and everything else like that. I'm not supposed to be happy by human means. But David is still calling him the Lord's anointed because he is. And he's still reverencing him. But if you see this time, when Saul calls out to David, he says to him, is that your voice? Hold on. Let's get back to that. But David said to Abishai, don't destroy him. So he lets him know, but the Lord forbid that I should go against him and lay hands on the Lord's anointed. Now let's take the spear in the water jug near his head and let's go. And they still get away. So David took the spear in the water that was water jug next to Saul's head, and they left. And no one saw or knew about it, nor did anyone wake up. They were all sleeping because the Lord had put them in a deep sleep. When the Lord got your back, he has your back. The Lord put them in a deep sleep just to prove a point. And David crossed over the other side and stood on top of the hill and some distance away. And there was a wide space between them. Because usually the space between the pit, between the enemy and the other enemy, is the space that they need to get their chariots and stuff through. So that's how wide it is. Armies of horses and stuff come through there. So there's a big difference. Now David crossed over to the other side and stood on top of the hill some distance away from there. And there was a wide space between them. And he called out to the army. He had to be calling pretty loud because he's far away. To Abner, the son of Ner, and said, aren't you going to answer me, Abner? Now, Abner, A-B is Ab. So his name means my father is Ner. And Abner is the son of Ner, which would be Ben Ner, because Ben means son of. Ben Ner would be son of Ner. My father is Ner, is Abner. That's what his name means. He says, aren't you going to answer me, Abner? And Abner replied, who are you that calls to the king? And David says, you are a man, aren't you? And who is like you in all of Israel? Like you stand beside the king as his top dude. So why didn't you guard your Lord the king? Someone has came to destroy your Lord the king. What you have done is not good. And surely as the Lord lives, you and your men must die because you did not guard your master. And the Lord's anointed, he keeps calling him the Lord's anointed. Now look around you. Where are the king's spear and water jug that was near his head? Just to let him know I was right there and I could have killed them. Where is the water jug and the spear that were near the king's head? And Saul recognized David's voice and he says, is that your voice, David, my son? And David replies, yes, it is, my king. Okay. Now, the first time, if you look, in the 23rd verse, when David took his piece of his robe, he said, is that your voice, David, my son? And he wept. This time, Saul ain't weeping. He's that far gone into wanting David dead that the weeping part is over. He has no compassion of what he's feeling. He just wants to make sure that David is gone. So this time, he's not weeping. And David replied, yes, it is, my king. And he added, Why is my Lord pursuing his servant? What have I done, and what wrong am I guilty of? Now let my Lord the king listen to his servant's words. If the Lord has incited you against me, then may he accept an offering. If, however, people have done it, may they be cursed before the Lord. And they have driven me today from my share in the Lord's inheritance and have said, go serve other gods. He's going into the Philistine land and all the rest of that nonsense that he had to do to get away. Now, do not let my blood fall onto the ground far from the presence of the Lord. The king of Israel has come out to look for a flea as he hunts a partridge in the mountains. And Saul says to David, I have sinned. Come back, David, my son, because you have considered my life precious today. That's what he said the last time. And I will not harm you. That's what he said the last time. I will try not, he says this time. I will try not to harm you again. Now I'm going to explain that. Surely I have acted like a fool and have been terribly wrong. So I'm going to break before I do that. Is there a question that needs to be asked or something that needs to be added, that wants to be added before I go further? Okay. So he said, I will try not to harm you again. Now, as we know, when Saul was anointed to be the king of Israel, the Lord told them what type of king he was going to be. The evil spirit that came upon him was from the Lord. It wasn't of the Lord, but it was from the Lord, because the Lord put, just like the Pharaoh in the land, he put the evil spirit, he allowed the evil spirit to come and take over the people that are coming against his. So he said, I will try not to harm you. It is out of Saul's control. Just like the sleep was out of their control. They couldn't wake up if they wanted to because the Lord put them into a deep sleep. So some things that the enemy is doing, this is another thing that we got to realize. And then when we read the word, we can understand some things, the people that are anointed to be the hell in your life and the enemy in your life, it is out of their control because that was their assignment from the beginning. And so no matter what your prayers are, no matter how hard it hurts you, no matter how far you got to run and all the different things that you have to go through, you still have to hold on knowing that that's part of their assignment. And the Lord says, vengeance is mine and I will repay. I will repay unequivocally. There is no question in the fact that I'm going to get those that come against you, but you have to endure to the end, just like my word says, the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to the ones that endure to the end. We just got to learn how to endure, and David is still going. So David says, here is your spear, and let one of your young men come over and get it. And the Lord rewards everyone for their righteousness and their faithfulness. And the Lord delivered you into my hands today. And I will not lay a hand on the Lord's anointed. Again, he's calling him the Lord's anointed because that's what he is. People keep thinking that he means that is of the Lord. He's from the Lord, but he is not of. Of means I'm part of what you are. And as surely as I valued your life today, so may the Lord value my life and deliver me from all this trouble. And Saul said to David, may you be blessed, David, my son, and may you do great things and surely, you will do great things and surely triumph. So David went his way and Saul returned home. Okay, at the end of the day, when your enemy keeps coming against you and the Most High keeps coming to your rescue, soon the enemy is just going to have to call it a day. So David went his way and Saul went his way. Now we could say that, the last time in verse 23, he did that same thing. He told David, I'm not gonna do anything to you. Even in this chapter, he said, I will try not to do anything to you. He didn't say that he wouldn't. He said, I'll try not to do it. So we're not, can't tell by here that whether Saul will come back at David or not. The fact is, David has to just go in a surety of the Lord, not in a surety of Saul. And many times we go in what our enemy says. When things sound good from our enemy, then we take the word of the sound of the enemy as opposed to the directives of the Lord. This is why the word says, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Of course, the enemy is going to tell you that things are peaceful, so it can seem like you can calm down. And just as soon as you let your guard down, then they come and get you. That's just how things go. See, but the enemy is not smart enough to know that the Lord has my back. And I don't move with my own recognizance. I move with his. My thinking would have got me taken out many times. My thinking would have gotten me doing things that were wrong many times. Not even taken out, but trying to take out. And I don't mean fast food, And so when we think about how the Lord has to direct us in so many different ways, the next time that Saul because we did chapter 27 last week when he ran into the land, David ran into the land of the Philistines. And so he's acting crazy in the land of the Philistines. And guess who's going to go over there? Saul once again. And so now we are seeing that David has to stay on the run. But this time now, Saul is going to have to, in the next study, he's going to have to go visit a witch. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of that because while Saul became the king, the Lord had Saul drive out all the mediums and the diviners out of that place. But while Saul was away chasing David all this time because of his own jealousy, then they have regrouped and started doing some things on the down low. Saul ain't around. Ain't nobody here really to watch us. Let's make a little camp again. He ain't going to know about things as long as nobody says anything. Y'all make sure you keep your word with us and we make sure we keep our word with you. We give you a little cut of what's going on. Y'all just let us do our thing. Now, Saul, obviously, he knows that they're around still. And he goes and finds out where one is at. Because now Samuel is gone and he needs to speak to Samuel because the Lord has left his presence. And he knows that the Lord will listen to Samuel or Samuel will listen to him. So that's, where the word is going to go after this. And you'll see how Saul has to resort to crazy means now because the Lord is not with him. And Samuel can't keep praying for him because now Samuel is dead. And so the only person that he has to go to is a medium to try to find the Lord's anointed. And a medium is opposing who the Lord is. So life is going to bring us to crazy changes. Crazy changes. The Lord said, drive the mediums out. You drove them out, but you left. So they drove themselves back in. And now you got to go to the same people that the Lord told you to drive out to try to get the Lord's anointed's attention. Trust me, David wasn't the only one on the run. He wasn't the only one on the run. But in saying this, like I said before, when we are running for the Lord, we are going to be running from the enemy. And even if we run so we can have a chance, as many people see back in the day when people were running, they would turn around and stop, and then they will hold their arrow when they have good stance and distance, and then they would shoot. Sometimes you got to run so you can get to your spot to plant your feet, and then you can fight where you're at. But until you get to a safe place, you got to keep on running. You got to keep on running. And David was not silly enough to let Saul just kill him and he stay around knowing what was going on. David was doing everything, jumping out of windows. He had people lying for him. He had Jonathan lie for him. He had McCall lie for him. He had many things going on. The priest got killed because of him when he tried to hide David because he knew who David was. And Saul came and he killed. Well, he wouldn't kill the priest. He had his man kill the priest. And so it is just like that. It's just like that. You're going to be on the run when you're running for the Lord. You're going to be running from the enemy. Understand that. Running for the Lord is running from the enemy. You have to just learn how to be a runner. And you have to know how to be a fighter as well. Because it's not always, like the word says in the book of Ecclesiastes 3, to everything there's a season and a time. There is a time to fight. A time of war and a time for peace. You have to fight. And so understanding that we have to look, even when we don't feel like what things are beneficial to us. And even though, Saul is going and he's not really having control of what he is in these people's lives because that's what he's anointed to be. He might just wanted to leave David alone if he would like to. He had the opportunity in the beginning. But because his head got bigger than his character, then the Lord left him that way. And a lot of times, like I said, Saul started off as a humble person. He consulted the Lord. He wouldn't let any harm come to anybody because the people said, who is this that said that Saul can't do this and can't do that? Let's go kill him now. And Saul was like, no, don't do it because I didn't do this. The Lord did. That's when Saul was humble Saul. But now he's the one that's promoting everything bad. He's the one that's provoking everything bad. The one that gives permission to everything bad. And he's on the run now for 10 years straight out to kill the Lord's anointed. That's calling him the Lord's anointed because they both were anointed. And so that the enemy is anointed and the people of the Most High are anointed. So what a battle that is, because both of them have assignments. That means everybody's part has to be played before the Lord brings anything to an end. So I want to see once again if there's anything that needs to be added. Don't have too much more to add. I'm just going to take a sip of this coffee. If Sister Minister, if you have a question or if you have anything to add, I will let you do so. Okay then. What I'm going to do is let you all know that on next week I will be at a Cedar service with my Walking by Faith family, Apostle or Overseer Apostle Kevin Miller and Apostle Michelle Miller and my family from Walking by Faith. And let me see, Pastor Tonique Smothers and Pastor Craig Pruitt are the leaders of that assembly. And so I will be there, and I'm going to leave a link for anybody that would like to attend. I have to speak on the second cup of the Passover. So that's where I will be on next week. So we will not be holding service on Sunday of next week. But we do want to leave your prayers with you. And I want to say before leaving, giving honor to Holocaust Ministry, which is the assembly that I'm under for Yahweh's Transitional Church. Those are the ones who ordained me past as an apostle. Overseer Kevin Miller and Apostle Michelle Miller, and Walking by Faith family, we thank you. To Ahava Healing, Pastor Rick McCall and Katina McCall, we want to give thanks and blessings to you all as well. To all of those that come with us and are here with us even on today from Yahweh's Transitional Church, Sister Evangelist Latasha Corley in her absence, and also to Sister Minister Larkin, thank you so much. And I believe that, oh, there were, got you. She was saying that she was trying to speak, and it started out good, but it did not. It did not work for her. So thank you. We appreciate the fact that you're still here. I still see you're in the box. So just thank you for being here with us as well. And we pray the blessings of the Most High be upon you all. You guys make it worth coming on. You know, I sit here and sometimes it feels very lonely, but I know I'm not by myself. And even with Grace, Mercy, and Peace, thank you so much. Even with how things are going on, you know, in my run from the soul and the enemy and stuff like that, the things that are happening in my life, thank you so much. Even with whatever the enemy is going to try to come against me, I'm standing on the word of the Most High, and He has my back. And once again, like His word says, vengeance is mine, and I will repay. I will repay. So I left things alone. I left things alone and I let go and let Elohim do what He's going to do. It is out of my hands, and guess what? I'm glad it is, because I can't hold it. So, again, to you, grace, mercy, and peace. And thank you so much, Sister Minister. I see your messages, and blessings be unto you. And to Pastor Corley and Mother Corley and Larkin and Mother Larkin, I'm sorry, to Deacon Rick Corley, thank you so much as well, and to little man Zion, that's usually always in the background. Just all my love to you all, and grace, mercy, and peace be unto you. I'm gonna go finish my coffee. And I thank the Most High for blessing me to be here with you. Shalom, until we do meet again.